Well, good morning. It's Wednesday, which is spelled Wednesday for some interesting reason. It's 9:20. I'm just getting out into the garage. Had a lot of work to do on the confuser system this morning, getting parts and doing logistics for a trip that we're going to take in December. So here's sitteth the bike. This morning I'm going to get these wires lashed back up nice and tight, were like they were before I had to find that misconnected wire going to the ignition warning light, the assimilator light. So I got to tie all these up. These wires go to the horn, of which I do have. So I'm going to try to come up with a horn mount and hook this up to the horn. Let's see, I'm going to take this cover off and drain the oil tank and drain the sump on the bike. This is a 75, so I don't have to worry about modifying the drain down valve. That's nice. So let's see, draining the oil. Oh, changing out the filter. The client supplied a filter, so that makes that nice. I'll put a new filter on it and then fill it with fresh oil. Since we are reasonably certain everything in here is working normally, I'm going to close up the primary and put the foot peg back on. Oh gosh, what else today? That's about it. We're still waiting on the parts for rebuilding the carbs and the assimilator and things like that. Who knows, maybe it'll arrive. Interesting about this bike, the tires are brand new. They're just beautiful. I mean, I bet they don't have any time on them at all. The problem is they're 11 years old. They were put on back whenever this project was first started. And they're gorgeous, but they're 11 years old. Tires are usually considered to be in the need replacement situation between 4 and 7 years, depending on how much you ride and how bad the sun is. Now, here in Arizona, the sun's really bad. Now, let's assume that this bike was stored inside because the tires are not checked. They are checked. They are not cracked. They're showing no sidewall damage, but they're 11 years old. I'm not going to insist the client change the tires because they're in beautiful condition, and I think the bike has been inside this whole time. Shows no sun damage on the rest of the bike. But the tires are 11 years old. I'm caught on the horns of a dilemma. Don't know what to do. If it was I'm not even going to talk about it if it was my bike. This is a safety issue. Will the tires get hard if they're kept inside for 11 years? Will they get hard enough to be a worry, since they're 11 years old, even though they're totally brand new? Interesting minds want to know. Give me an opinion. What do you think? Arbitrarily change them, or, well, that's basically the question. Arbitrarily change them. This is a safety situation, and I can't really express an opinion either way for liability reasons, you know? Has to be a client decision. So anyway, that's where we are. I'm going to try to close up the primary, drain out the oil, change the filter, put in fresh oil, strap down those wires, and I'm not sure what else I can do pending arrival of all the parts that are still on order for an extraordinarily long time. Usually I get parts within 4 to 6 days, and these have been on order for, gosh, a couple of weeks now. So we'll see what happens. All right, interesting. This is a little drain I made it. It hooks underneath the oil tank, and just gives me a nice opportunity to drain the oil. This little notch at the bottom is to keep it from shooting little drops out. Dynamics. Anyway, it would shoot drops way over here, so that helps keep the drops from dropping when it gets down to the bottom. At the first flow, it just flows, but when it gets down to the bottom, little drops will come down here and go twee all the way across. So that helps defeat that. Just for grins, before I took the plug all the way out, it's loose right now, and I'm going to take it out. I looked inside the tank. The tank's empty. And not only is it empty, it's clean empty. So I don't know. I'm hoping that nobody's tried to start this thing. So let's let whatever oil's in there out. It's beautiful. Oil looks very clean. So we'll see. Anyway, I don't know if you can see in there. Let me do a little zoom action and maybe even get the flashlight and see if I can show you how completely empty this tank is. Yep, there's the filter down there. So anyway, it's what we call empty. A little bit of drip. So I'm going to drain the sump now. So that means either this was drained and there's no oil in it, or it's all the way down in the bottom of the sump. We'll find that out when I take the sump plug out. The interesting thing is, this is a 75, so it has the anti-drain down modification built into it. This little pimple here is where the anti-drain down valve is located. For pre-75, 74 and back, there's a company in Tucson, AMR, Alternative Motorcycle Repair, and they will modify these covers to install an anti-drain down valve here, as is in the 75s. Well worth it. They also modify the pump at the same time, do other magic things. Well worth it. If you have a pre-75 Commando, contact AMR and get your timing cover modified. So the dripping has stopped. I'm going to put the cap back in there and I'm going to drain the sump now and see just how much oil is in the sump on this bike. The only way the oil could be down in the sump is if that anti-drain down valve has stuck in the open position. I've seen it once or twice, but the bikes were in worse condition. Oh, by the way, while we're here, your tank should hang free and like that. If you still have the bolt coming up from the bottom and going into the bottom of the oil tank, take it out. That bolt puts so much stress on the tank that the movement of the tank and the bolt holding it down causes the bottom of the tank to crack. So the way to do it is to take that bolt out, put a piece of rubber underneath the tank to support it, and let it vibrate. Okay, so I'm going to put the plug back into this tank and drain the, take the filter off now, and then drain the sump. All right, so I've got the pan under the engine and I pulled the sump plug out and it got a lot of oil out of there. Normally there's maybe 4 to 6 ounces of oil in the sumps. And this is a lot more than that. So I'm going to actually measure it and find out how much it was in there. Like I said, it has the anti-drain down valve built in, but on the other hand, I don't think this bike has actually been run in maybe 10 years. So that's a long time for that valve to hold the oil back. So anyway, I'm going to measure all this oil and find out how much came out of there. I put a screwdriver down into the tranny that has oil in it. It's beautifully clean oil. And I'm going to change it anyway because I don't know what brand or flavor it is. So I'm going to dump that out and put in fresh oil of the type that I use. I'll show it to you when I do it. Over here I have the sump plug out, and first thing I notice is that the retaining clip is gone. It's not there. So let me pull this inside out. I'm going to put this in the tripod now. We're going to take this apart and clean it as soon as I get this tripod to cooperate. Normally there's a little wire clip that goes across the top here. I may have one, I'll take a look. That filter comes out, and usually there's some debris in there, and there actually is a little bit that's been trapped. And I'll try to put it down here. So you can see it's been doing its job. And let's go in here and find out what's in here. I mean, if you find large chunks of metal in here, then you've got something to worry about. Or if I find large chunks of metal in that pan that's over here underneath the bike right now, you have something to worry about. But small amounts is normal. So there's supposed to be a cover washer and a clip on the top of this to hold this down. I do not believe it's inside the motor. I sincerely hope it's not inside the motor. And that'd be silly. I'd say most likely somebody pulled this out, took it apart, put it back together, and left the spring clip and washer on their bench. And what can I say? That's a good probability. Let's hope. I'm going to stick my finger up inside there just to see if I can feel anything up inside the motor, but I've never seen that be successful. Okay, I can see through there nice and clear. Let's put it back inside, and then I'll dump and measure that oil. Then I'll see if I don't have the spring washer and the top washer that goes on here in some of my spares. And if not, I'll see if my good buddy Roger, who works with used parts, might not have what I need. Okay? And that's the way we do it here in Hollywood. All right, this is the little bit of oil that came out of the bike's oil tank. And over here we have the oil that came out of the sump. I'm going to measure it. I think these are 16 ounces. Yes, 16 ounces. 18 ounces at a time up to that level, and see how much oil was in that sump. So let's start the count. All right, that's 18 ounces. Another 18 ounces. A third 18 ounces. Oh, what's that? Oh, that's not good. Oh shit. Can you see that? That's the washer that's supposed to be on top of that filter assembly. Okay, so we have 3/18s and 10. 3/18s and 10. That's such a big number I can't even do it in my head. Okay, so that's that's 64 ounces of oil. That's the whole supply. So it took a long time for it to seep down through that anti-drain down valve. And this is very disconcerting. I got my finger way up inside the engine and feeling around trying to find something. And I couldn't find anything. But this did come out of the sump. And I'll show it to you once I straighten it out. And I'll show you how it works once I get it straight. Okay, I straightened out that washer that came out of the oil. And this is what it looks like. And this is where it goes, in here. And it's held in by a little spring clip that goes around the outside edge. So far, I've not seen the spring clip. And when I got my finger up inside the sump and was feeling around, trying to go hither, yon, upside down, all around, trying to see anything, I couldn't feel anything. And the sump is the lowest part of the engine. So I did not, when I went looking for it, find the spring clip. Yeah, I didn't find this either, but it came out with the oil. So at this point in time, this capture is clean. And we've come to the conclusion that the retainer isn't in here. Okay, I'm going to pour this oil back this way just to see if the retainer might be in here and I didn't notice it. Let's try this and see what we see. Okay, in a word, it's not in here. So we could go paranoid and say we have to tear down the engine just in order to find that spring clip, but I'm not going to do that. That's silly. The fact that this washer got the heck beat out of it so badly it bent it over indicates that it was in there while the engine was running. And that could mean that somebody put this together and put this in here and then put it up in there without the spring clip. They lost it really easy. And it just came off and got beat all up and we found it. It could also mean that the spring clip is in there so well mangled that it's in a crevice somewhere, in which case we don't care. Obviously the motor was running long enough to damage this after whoever did it. So I'm going to go up to the hardware store and buy a spring clip that'll fit this, or maybe Roger will have one. And then we'll put this back together. And no, I'm not going to panic, and I'm not going to say we need to tear the engine apart just for looking for a spring clip that may or may not be inside the engine. I'm just going to say it's either not in the engine or it's not an overt damage to the engine. And unless the client really, really, really wants me to tear the engine down, I'm not going to do it. And if someday that spring clip gets in the wrong place at the wrong time and does damage, we have to live with the decision. Okay? So that's where it is. And as we like to say around here, the fun just never stops. All right, this is so silly. I'm going to show it to you anyway. It's almost embarrassing. I built this little thing probably 10 plus more years ago. And what it is a way of dumping oil into jars to be taken for recycle. I originally built it for the small pan. That's this one. And it would go in, I'd pour the oil in and then slide it in here. And I made this swing out to hold it in place. And it worked just great for years. And then I started using the bigger pan. And so I modified it a little bit to accept the bigger pan. And I'll show you how I do that, all right? Open this. By the way, this funnel is built in, and this filter, this sieve, is right here, just in case there's something in the oil that I don't know about. It'll catch it. And I have on more than one occasion found debris in there that I did not realize was in the oil. So anyway, that's there. And then I just take this bigger pan and I go ahead and drain it through like so. Got to keep an eye on the jug because I have overfilled them. Gets real messy when that happens. Okay, and then when I started using this bigger pan, what I did is I made a hole here and a hook here, and I can let that hang there like that, and it'll drain down and empty the pan. So it's a kludge, and it's ugly and it's silly, but I've been using it for like 10 plus years or more, and it works just great. So something like that, if you do a lot of oil changes, is handy. All right, we went up to the local hardware store. Now, first of all, I've got this really cool little magnet, very malleable. You can bend it in all kinds of shapes. And I bent it so that I could get it up inside the bottom sump hole of the engine and move it around, you know, swish it around. We didn't find anything. So between me sticking my finger up there and getting up there with the magnet, the only other option would be to get out the little video camera that I have, and there's just not that much room in there. So that little clip is either in there and jammed and lost, or not in there at all. Either way, I'm not gonna worry about it anymore. We went up to the hardware store and we bought this nice. All right, we went up to the hardware store. They of course don't have the wire style clips that this used originally, but they do have this really nice inner C-clip, and it fits perfectly. So let's put that one right there. Okay.
Yep, just like it was meant to be.
Okay. Nice and tight all the way around?
Uh-huh. Yep. Yep.
All right.
way to get underneath. We're good.
Okay, we're good. We're done. We'll put it back together like it's supposed to be. I'm just hoping that whoever put it together last did not put the spring clip in. Just put this up in there, and that's what we saw. So we're gonna put it in the bike now, and put fresh oil in the tank. And why don't we go ahead and while we're here, onto the bike, let's drain that tranny and put fresh oil in there. That'll give us fresh oil in the engine, fresh oil in the tranny, and then let's close up the primer and put oil in there. Okay? That just leaves us the forks, which we can do at our leisure or maybe even today. Who knows? Okay?
Cool.
You good with that?
Yep. Cool.
I don't know if we'll get all that done or not, but let's give her a shot. Oh my, it's, gosh, what time is it? It's 1:15. What time did you get here? About 9:30 or?
No, it wasn't until 11 today.
Oh, 11.
That's right. I was waiting for that bike drop
That's
off.
right. Okay, so you got here at 11. He's been working on the bike. He took this whole rear brake assembly off because we couldn't get pressure. And we cleaned out the master cylinder, and now we have good pressure. But we still couldn't get the caliper to work. So we just took it apart, slid the pucks out, and they were all glommed up. So we're going to clean them off. They're in perfectly good condition. We're just going to clean them. The seals look like they're brand new, and the pucks look like they're brand new, barely used. So we're going to clean all this up. We're going to lubricate it with fluid. We've got the right tool for taking the outer plate off, just like that. It's a nice tool. And put it back together and see if we can get a good solid rear brake. And that's what Big K has been working on. Wow, all these bits and pieces, every one of them has to be clear. And the fun just never stops. In the meantime, over here, back at the ranch, I've got all this put back up neatly. What else did I do today? I know I did something because I've been busy all day. Primer is closed up. I'm going to let it sit overnight and coagulate, and then I'll put oil in it tomorrow. We put all fresh new engine oil into it, all new fresh tranny oil into it. We still need to do the forks and primary, and it's coming together nicely. So progress is being made. And oh, look at this. Guess what? All the parts I've been waiting on, I'll bet you they're all in those 2 packages. They just arrived. So I'm going to open those up after a while and maybe have something to do in the next day or so. But not today because I'm tired.
It's getting to be lunchtime.
It's beginning to be lunchtime, yeah. All right, good. That's where we are. Let's get this thing put back together. And there's Kevin putting the whole rear hydraulic system back together. One segment at a time. It's a pain. Here's the caliper all cleaned up. Last hose to cover. It's coming together. All right, it's 3 o'clock, 10 minutes till. We had a very full day. The bike is full of oil. Tranny's full of oil. Primer is closed up. I'll put oil in it tomorrow. Headlights up and closed. Wires are put back in place. This is all sealed. Boy, I don't even know what all we did today. I'm so tired. Anyway, the rear brake assembly is installed. We're not pumping fluid yet. We were on the bench. We got good pump out of the master cylinder, but it hasn't made it up and over and up to here yet. So right now I got the bleeder out, and we'll do some more work on that. I'll do some more work on that tomorrow because Kevin's going to be gone for a few days. Anyway, progress has been made. I got parts in. Look at all these parts. I got parts. Parts is parts. So everything to rebuild the carburetors, build the fuel lines, put the front hydraulic brakes on, the new assimilator, isn't that cool? And stuff like that. So we got parts, and I'll let you know how it goes. Right now I'm going to run out and try to find a clamp that I can use to mount this horn. And I will, once I get it designed, I will spray paint this side black. Okay, just for the heck of it. So anyway, progress is being made, and I will keep you apprised over the next day or so what happens.